What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tiege pack. Tiege makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tiege Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tiege Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tiege Hanley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tiege pack. Feel the Tiege, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. It is Wednesday, April 5th, 2023, year of our Lord, and I am very, very excited to be able to stand before you today as your host of the Millionaire Morning Show. And so I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me and hold me down. And then tune in with me every single morning, weekdays, usually at about 10:15 a.m. Eastern, but I got in really, really late. I didn't get into the house until after 2 a.m. in the morning, simply because I was taking care of business, working. I went and partied with Charleston White because I got Charleston with me in town in Detroit. As usual, you know my brother is always here, so we definitely going to be kicking it on that front. I'm going to give you all a little bit of insight on what's going on and some of the things that we working on. In addition to that, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit a like for the YouTube algorithm or a dislike, and then make sure that you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. More housekeeping. There are more and more fraud pages on Instagram and all of these other different platforms that are showing up and pretending that it's me. So if you guys don't see the blue check next to the Anton Daniels name, because Instagram now allows for pretty much anybody that wants to be taken seriously as a content creator to get themselves verified on Instagram or Twitter. If you don't see the blue check next to my name, if you have not clicked the link in the description as far as to follow me on Instagram, and I would encourage you guys to follow me on Instagram, then it is not me, right? I don't have an alternative account. I don't have a second account. I don't have a backup page or anything like that. I've only had one Instagram page for the entirety that I've been on there. So if you do not see it next to me, one Anton Daniels, not some alternative version of it, it is not me. I will not reach out to you on Instagram. I do not do Forex. I'm not asking you to send any kind of Bitcoin or anything like that. It is not me. Now, we are still working very vigorously every single day to make sure that all of these pages are removed, but it is not me, right? So if you have not contacted me via email at antondaniels413@gmail.com as far as to do business, then it is not me. I don't do business over Instagram. I don't do business over TikTok. I don't do business over Facebook. I take care of business via email only, okay? So that's first and foremost. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I have a lot of videos that we've edited and we're going to drop back to back in the Patreon. So the best days to get into the Patreon is within the first week but you need to make sure that you tap in order to grow with the group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in. Third, if you are a part of the Patreon and you are not a part of the Discord, then you cannot continue to have the extended conversation and then be aligned with the group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in, because you're only watching my videos, you're only tuning into my webinar, but you're not tapping into your network. There are people in your city. That's why I go city to city, in order to be able to connect with y'all and meet with y'all in real life. We will be doing a Patreon meetup in the first weekend of May, which is May 6th, I believe, is a Saturday. And I am going to be giving more updates in that, but I want to make sure that everybody is utilizing the Patreon and all of the resources that I'm providing for you effectively before I do so, okay? So make sure y'all do that. If y'all have any questions, tap into anybody that's a part of the Patreon. Natasha can point you in the right direction. Thank you, Natasha Vincent, for continuing to rock with us. We're going to continue to do the work, all right? So before we really get started today, I want to send a word of encouragement out to my lovely wife. This is not a part of the monologue. This is just what I want to do. I want to send a word of encouragement over to Rita, my lovely wife. I met Rita when I was 14 years old, for those of you that are not familiar. And we just met as friends. So I did approach her on some, yo, what's up with that head dude, whatever. I didn't know she was a good girl yet, but a lot of people are familiar with the story. Maybe I'll tell it later on in the year or something like that when some time has passed. And then she hung up on me, and then I called her and I said, hey, did your phone get disconnected? Do you know who you're talking to? I'm Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I was the same way I was then, just a little bit more unrefined. But then we wound up just becoming best friends. It wasn't on no romantic type stuff. And then we just, kind of developed that bond and that friendship. And she was there for me when I was talking to all these little hussies and hood rats all throughout the years. Shout out to Kojak. He was a part of Ms. Gates' class when I approached her. And that's how we was rocking, right? And so she was a good girl. She was a really, really good girl, so I protected her and all of that other type of stuff. But long story short, we wound up getting married when I was 22 years old. We the same age. We both graduated from the same high school. And we've been rocking ever since. So I've been basically married for the equivalent of close to 19 years this upcoming June, right? She's always concerned about me. The majority of the time in which we disagree is basically her trying to calm me down from working so much, and then me trying to make sure that she understands how valuable she is to me, because life happens, right? And so she actually had hurt her leg a little while ago. And I'm not going to go into all of the different medical things, even though it's nothing significant. But she was like, yo, Anton, I just don't like this lingering issue. And right after she said that, we got off the phone because I was on my way here. And I looked at this video and it popped up right on my feed. So my Instagram feed and my YouTube feed is very, very productive. There's some really great things on there. And it was a content creator. And I forgot what his name is, but he's an entrepreneur and a content creator. And he said this, and I just want to share this with you guys. And I told her that I would share this with you guys. But this is what he said. He said, if I gave you $1 million tomorrow, how would you feel about that? And then the guy that he was talking to, the guy and the girl that he was talking to, and he said, oh man, I would be incredibly thankful. I would be excited. My life would change, right? He said, if I gave you $10 million, but you died tomorrow, how would you feel? Would you take the $10 million? They said, absolutely not. I would take waking up tomorrow. And he said, okay, so you're telling me you would get incredibly excited as a result of getting the $1 million, but if I offered you $10 million, you would pass on it just so you can be able to wake up tomorrow. And they said, yeah, absolutely. That's a way better deal to wake up tomorrow than to take the $10 million that I would be incredibly excited for 10 times more than if you gave me $1 million. And he said, well, if that be the case, if you're more excited about waking up tomorrow as the alternative to getting the $10 million, he said, then why aren't we excited about waking up every single day? Why do we wake up with this mindset of, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, or I'm tired of my leg hurting, or this is the issue, and things like that? He said, we have to have a different mindset that allows for us to be more successful, because we're not taking into context the opportunity that comes with waking up every single morning until you compare it to what the alternative is. And so what I'm trying to tell you guys is, every day that you wake up, it's a blessing. The things that we went through, and I had this conversation with y'all today in another speech, the things that we went through yesterday, The things that we went through yesteryear, the things that are lingering, the problems, if you having problems getting money and you dealing with different people on your job, your kids is not necessarily working in your favor. It's certain things that everybody is going through in their life. Everybody has something that they're going through. My point is that every day that you wake up is another opportunity to continue to overcome, be a better version of yourself, and it should be an opportunity to really be excited about what's to come. When Mondays come, I'm excited. Tuesdays come, I'm excited. Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday, every single day, regardless of what time that I went to bed last night, how tired I am. I think I got like 3 hours of sleep last night, and I anticipated it. So I set my goals, and a lot of y'all that follow me on Twitter know exactly what my goals are. I said my goals for this week is to get at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep 4 days this week, because I already know exactly what it is that I got going on, right? My point to you, and I'm reading super chats throughout the day, so I see y'all. I'm definitely going to hold y'all down. My point to y'all is that every day you should be just as ecstatic and excited about the opportunities and waking up in the morning so that you know that it's another opportunity for you to do great things because you have a great purpose, and it should be more exciting than if somebody was to offer you $1 million tomorrow. Because the one thing that I know for sure is that nobody know when their time is up, and so I leave it on the floor every single day. I give you the same energy every single day on this show. I give you the same energy every single day when you get these coaching calls, when you see me in person. A lot of y'all met me at the game yesterday for the first time. A lot of people met Charleston White. I introduced them to y'all. A lot of y'all took a lot of pictures yesterday. I'm walking around in Detroit. I'm having a good time. Y'all know I keep that same energy 100% of the time because I leave it on the floor. Every day is an exciting day for me. And every day that I wake up, it's another opportunity to do great things. All right. So, baby girl, Rita, I will never let you fall. I will always have your back. You will always be protected and taken care of. And just because your leg may hurt, you have to go and get an MRI or whatever the medical terms is, that's a small thing to a giant. That's a small thing to a giant. We got God behind our back. You got Ton behind your back, which is like double the thing that you need in order to be successful. You're always going to have everything that you need in order to be great. You're going to have an overabundance. Daddy Ton is always going to make sure that you're taken care of. I got you, baby. No worries. All you got to do is put your cares, your worries, and your burdens on me. And no matter what you're facing, no matter what happens, understand that it's nothing to a giant. Anything that you may be dealing with, anything that you may be feeling bad about, anything that may be going on in your life, that's small work for me, baby. Just bring it to daddy. I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of. Let me soothe you. Let me give you that level of comfort that you need in order to make sure that you can continue about your day without care or worry, because I don't never, ever want you to sit here and think about the things that you may be going through, understanding that daddy already got it taken care of and I'm going to solve it. I'm already going to solve it. If I got to get the best doctors, if I got to get the best lawyers, if I got to get the best whatever you need, masseuse. I recently hired you a second cleaner. I made sure that you got a chef. There is nothing that you will ever need that daddy can't come through and make sure that you're taken care of for, all right? So the thing that I need you to do is to make sure that you always are in a great mood, that you got a great attitude, that you can do the thing that's best for our daughter, because I need you for that, right? I know that you add incredible amount of value in our life. So don't ever, ever wake up feeling anything less than excited, because you know that anything that you need, daddy is going to take care of it. And so I just need you to be happy. That's the only thing I need you to be happy. You done already gave me more than enough value than I've ever needed in my entire life. I will never leave you. We will always be taken care of. There is nothing that you will ever go through that I will not be here for. And there is no care in the world that daddy can't take care of. All right? Remember that. Remember who you are. Remember who you standing next to. I'm the king. And so that gotta mean that you're the queen. And so if you my queen, queens don't sit here and worry about the different things that kings are already got taken care of. It's already in motion. What have I told you over the last week? How have I dealt with you over the last week as far as ensuring that anything that you need or anything that you want or anything that you can even think of or care for, that you have it at your fingertips? There is nothing that you will ever need. Your feet will never hit the floor. ever. Remember that. Remember who you are. What do you tell me when I'm tired? What do you tell me when it's time for me to grind? What do you tell me when it's time for me to hustle? What do you tell me when I feel like it's the whole world against me? You say, listen, I feel you. You rub my head, you give me a massage, you lay next to me, and then you say, listen, I'm going to give you a day to be able to feel however you want to feel. But that's not the man that I married that's going to sit there and rest on his laurels. I need you to get up. I need you to gird up. And I need you to get back on the grind because you know who you are and you know what your purpose is. And so whatever it is that we need to do that, do it. It's the same thing for you. Put your big girl panties on, right? Forget whatever it is that your leg is hurting. That's nothing. It's nothing. I got you. All right? I love you. I'm always going to love you more than anybody that's ever came in your life. All right. So let's get to it. I had something else that I wanted to talk about before I got into the show. But before I really get into the show, let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to get it popping. Batman 4011 says, I got 5 on it. Shout out to you. My first super chat of the day. Atria says, let me pay my tithes with the 2 ball. Thank you, my friend. Mr. Youngblood City with the 20 ball said, thank you. No, I appreciate you. You are absolutely, positively, very much appreciated. I actually kicked it with Mr. Youngblood City at least twice. Once over in LA, and so I think that Mr. Youngblood City is absolutely dope. Thank you for being a part of the Bag Chasers. Alvin S. says, good morning, AD. Restream yesterday's live. You preaching and teaching real good. Thank you for the 10 ball and for everybody that continues to contribute to the platform. Because you know I ask for nothing, but I appreciate everything, right? So I got to acknowledge everybody that hold us down. Sierra Williams is in the building with multiple underscores. Says, hi, Anton. I'm new to the Patreon, but I am lost navigating all of this. I sent you an email. How do I get connected to the Discord community? Help. So, Alvin S., if you go to any of the most recent videos, and I'm actually putting together a better platform, so I'm working on something. Oh, I'm sorry, Sierra, not Alvin S., Sierra. I'm putting together a better platform long term that I'm going to move everybody over from. But if you go into the description of any of the most recent videos, I always drop a link to the Discord in there. So Discord is way more information. It's much easier to navigate. Go ahead and tap into the Discord. I'm also going to respond to your email. I'm checking that out. So I will respond to you also. And make sure y'all give a like and an appreciation for all of the new Bag Chasers and Patreon members. Shout out to the Real Precious. I love you, baby girl. Welcome to the show today. O'Neal Harris says, take care of you and yours. God bless. Absolutely. I'm always going to take care of it. Shout out to my London people, my Canadian people, my Nigerian people, my African people, my Asian people, people all over the world that's tuning into the show. I appreciate you. ST says, from the 20 ball, says, your love story with Rita is beautiful. Meeting so young and always having each other's back. Continued success. Power couple. That's why I'm so, vigilant of protecting my baby. Thank you for the 20 ball because, I'm never going to let nobody say anything. Ain't it funny how when you finally get a black couple that hold each other down, met young, actually a reflection of what we want our community to be like, that's the first thing that the people that don't like you attack. They attack your relationship. They attack what it is that you've built together. Although we say that that's what we want in the black community. Neither here nor there. Jalen Hawkins says, thank you for all of you doing yours. The inspiration that I didn't know I needed. Thank you, Jalen, for rocking with me and holding me down. I love you, Jalen. Appreciate you. Also, let me give a shout out to somebody that just came through and dropped the 20 ball in the collection page. Shout out to Anthony Terrell is in the building with the 20 ball. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are absolutely appreciated for rolling out with us, Anthony Terrell. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I do want to make another announcement before we get started with the show because I'm cooking up today and I'm gonna take my time. We gonna deal with this Chinese, Russian, Brazilian, African alliance and whether or not the U.S. dollar is going to make everybody super poor. We're gonna deal with that. I know y'all been asking me about that. We're going to deal with Trump's indictment. We're also going to talk about being canceled and pressure from the higher ups for us to do what they want us to do. All right. I want to talk about everything. We're going to go on to everything. We're going to tie it back into the money. So it's going to be an incredible show. But I also want to say this, right? Part of the reason why, it's a couple different reasons or a few different reasons why I'm building a house, right? And I'm actually going through the process because I can go and I can just continue to buy turnkey properties, buy them cash, make sure that I'm reinvesting, continue to grow my assets, and then, give you all the blueprint inside of the Patreon on how it is that you can utilize real estate in order to protect yourself from a financial tax burden that could be given to you by the president of the United States, or just continue to increase your net worth. It's not all about that. Being a bag chaser is not just about money. Being a bag chaser is about doing the thing that's in your best interest, understanding that the money comes along with it. And there's multiple different steps that comes along with success. The first step is you got to get rid of the debt. The second step is you need to get out of survival mode. Out of survival mode is usually people that is 1 or 2 or 3 paychecks away from being financially in a disastrous situation. And even people that make over $100,000 a year, over 52% of people that make over $100,000 a year, millennials specifically, are 1 paycheck away from losing everything. And how do I know this? Not just from the statistics, but because I was a part of a homelessness project for over a year in which every Saturday I worked with homeless people. And so I seen what the face of homelessness looked like. It wasn't entirely based off of the guy that's holding a sign that's coming up off of a freeway. It was based off of real life people that were 1 paycheck away, 1 job loss away, 1 medical bill away, 1 situationship away from losing everything, right? And so when I'm building this house and I'm learning and I'm working with contractors and things like that, I'm gaining insight and information on how I can then leverage that in order to impact other people, whether it be from an information perspective and giving it to the Patreon members or using it in my community. Now, I want to focus on that second part real quick. Using it in my community, right? The bag chasers are always going to get every single piece of information because I never talk about it until I do it. So I talk about business. I talk about corporate America. I talk about building businesses. I talk about being successful on social media and content creation. I talk about being successful in your marriage and relationships. And then how it all is encompassed with doing the thing that's best for you as far as you not having to skip steps and do it the wrong way, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and everybody. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything will be added unto you. So all of my core principles are rooted in spirituality and Jesus and biblical principles and the word of God, right? You may not know it, but I'm teaching it to you and I'm Mr. Miyagi it to you without necessarily quoting the scripture every single time I say something. But I pray before I come on this podcast. I pray when I wake up in the morning, and I pray over my family when I get home at night. The second part, let's take the bag chasers out of it, all right? So the second part is, how can I then affect my community? 4 steps: get out of debt, survival mode, thriving, and then being philanthropic. Philanthropy, right? Once you buy your time back, once you then be able to thrive, once you cross a certain threshold from rich to wealth, and you figure out ways to be able to give back to your community. There's a lot of ways in which people do it. They do it from giving you the game. They do it for giving you information. They do it through coaching. They do it through inspiration. They do it through donations and philanthropy. But one thing that I've learned in rocking out with Charleston White, because he's been very heavily involved in philanthropic efforts, and he gives away over 1/3 of everything that he makes. Over 1/3 of everything that he makes, he gives it back to the communities that he go and do shows and visit. That is a fact. A lot of people don't know about it. We did a recording yesterday, and I'm going to release that over to the Bag Chasers, the full uncensored interview. You guys are going to absolutely love that inside of the Patreon. That's not going to be available to anybody else because it was too much game. But he gave me so much information. And one thing that we always harp on is when you give to these organizations, 95% of all of the money that you give don't go to the people. It doesn't go to community efforts. It goes to the furniture, it goes to the salaries, it goes to facilities, it goes to paying things and running things and the whole 9 yards. So when you give to these organizations, and I'm not telling you that you should or you shouldn't, I think that giving to any organization that's meaningful to your heart is whatever it is that you should do. But the one thing that I found is that actually impacting people in a direct and personable way is more effective. And so this building is also giving me knowledge and information to be able to give to you guys later. But also, more importantly, it's allowing for me to, in the future, then pour into my community. So I've decided that I will be personally, and it's one of the reasons why my office is still here. My business is still here in Detroit. I have not moved away. I want to continue to be a pillar in my community. It was a guy that said, Anton don't represent Detroit. He asked everybody, he's trying to get my attention. He said, tag Anton to this. He said, Anton don't represent Detroit. I agree. I'm bigger than my city. I'm much bigger than anything that you can be. Just because you put a Detroit hat on, just because you was born and raised here, that doesn't mean that you've ever actually done anything for your community. Don't mean you ever hired anybody, you put any money in anybody else's pocket. I'm a reflection of what the black community should be nationwide. So, what I'm announcing is, for me personally, historic. What I will be doing is, for a long time, one of the things that bothered me, because Detroit is doing really well. It's on the upswing. Downtown is thriving. Midtown is awesome. Corktown is awesome. Mexican Town is phenomenal. Sherwood Forest, the whole DeQuinder Cut, Jefferson, Grand River, a lot of these different places are thriving, but there are still pockets and areas that I think that should be taken care of. And every single day that I come down to this office and every day that I ride home, the first thing I do is I go back through my neighborhood and I drive by my childhood home. And it bothers me. And I want it to continue to bother me because I don't want to become so far removed from the things that I've grew up around that I don't continue to come back and support and build for my community, not just for y'all on here on the internet and the bag chasers. So what I'm deciding to do is leverage my own personal money and resources to buy up land, personally tear down houses, and then rebuild the houses in the communities for people to be able to go and live in. So I will be continuing to document that process. I don't want to make too many announcements, but if you get money in the city, if you've become successful as a result of it, don't run back away from the city. We know that black people in these communities and we know it's messed up. We know that people do things. We know that they want to hurt us. We know that they don't like us. It's a similar thing that I was telling y'all yesterday. It's going to be a group of people that don't necessarily care for you, and they're going to talk shit about you, but you're not doing it just for them. You're doing it because you got a greater purpose on this earth. So we're going to continue to rebuild the infrastructure. We're going to do our own version of what gentrification looks like, and that we're going to go back into our communities. We're not going to beg the mayor. We're not going to beg city council. We're not going to beg organizations to help us. We're not going to go to Biden. We're not doing none of that. If you getting money, if you a millionaire, if you a dude that's been getting bread and you busting down the bag and you ran off into some other communities, which I understand it. I agree with it. I had to raise my daughter in a certain community everywhere. Anyway, let's have a real competition. Not of who can buy the best cars, because I'm still going to drive my fresh cars. I'm still going to live my life. I'm still going to continue to run up the money. I'm still going to do the assets. Let's not have a competition on who can come up with the biggest money phone. Let's have a competition to see how much we can put into rebuilding our communities. I don't care if you just adopt a park and you pay for the resources in order to keep the grass cut and the trash picked up around it. I don't care if you decide that you want to buy up the block and then rebuild the whole block and then make sure that everything looks good. Anything that you can contribute. And now I'm dedicating myself to my city personally, right? My heart is in my community where I actually see the children playing, right? I'm also, on top of that, this is not just about making the community look better. This is also about rooting out the things that I don't like the most about the community. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to start a fund. And that fund will be essentially to incentivize people to snitch on the people that are doing the worst things in your community. If you see somebody selling drugs, I'm going to put a reward, probably somewhere between $1,000 and $5,000, depending on the severity of the crime. I'm putting a reward on anybody that commits crime or do things that make it unsafe for our children to be able to walk to school every day in these communities that we're adopting and we're going to transform in the Detroit area specifically. I'm going to put a number on it. I'm going to put a tag on it that if you can get somebody else arrested and you can snitch and it leads to the arrest and the conviction of the people that's doing the worst things in our community, I will personally send you a cash app of anywhere between $1,000 and $5,000, depending on the severity of the crime. Not only are we going to rebuild our community, but we going to make it cool to be cool and not cool to be dumb anymore. Not only are we going to put our money where our mouth is, because for every Lamborghini that you buy, I think that you should put an equal amount or at least a third into your community if you really getting money like that. Now, this ain't for the weak. This ain't for the normal everyday folk, right? If you just a person that's going to work every day and you're trying to get out of debt, you need to first be selfish before you be selfless. We cool with you coming out and picking up some trash and cutting the grass or whatever like that, but we need you to focus on getting better because we can't really use you until you get your own life together, right? This ain't for y'all. This is for everybody that's claiming to be a baller. And it ain't even got to be just in Detroit. This can be in your city, in your hood, nationwide. If you really getting money and you doing your thing and you actually believe in building up your community. See, I don't want to hear from these pro-blackity blacks. I don't want to hear from them. I don't want to hear from everybody that's sitting from the comfort of their home, but they ain't never gave nobody a job. They ain't never actually helped their community. They ain't never gave to a specific cause. They ain't never ever went back to where it is that they came from. They ain't actually putting nobody on. They ain't actually giving nobody an opportunity. And the only thing that they doing is talking shit. I don't want to hear from that. I want to hear from the people that's actually willing to put their money where their mouth is, because we don't want to hear shit about you unless you actually putting the money up. I want to hear from the people that's actually proclaiming themselves to be rich or bag or getting to the bag, because there's a lot of people that ain't a part of the bag chasers that's acting like they got it. Okay, well, let's play big bank, take little bank to see how many houses you can get torn down and then rebuilt as a result of it. Let me see how many parks you can adopt. I don't want to just see the Lambo. I want to see that reinvested back into your community. I want to see how many places can you make safe for your children to be able to walk down the street for people that don't even give a fuck about you. Anybody can talk about it. Very few people actually do it. Anybody can talk about it. Very few people actually do it. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to set up the fund. We're going to continue to do what we do. We're going to do it more effectively than anybody else. We're going to re-gentrify these neighborhoods and make them safe. And then hopefully, we can continue to pay it forward and inspire somebody else to not just look inwardly, but outward on how it is that they can affect and actually help somebody instead of talking shit online every day. Because we don't want to hear nothing that you're talking about no more. We want to see the results. So just wanted to announce that and make sure that I hold y'all down, because we got a purpose on this earth. And if you're not leaving this earth in a better space had you not been here, and the only thing you're doing is just talking, Derek T is in the building, says, showing love for Mississippi. Per usual, Cash App creator Bob Lee was just killed in San Francisco. I heard about that. Rita told me about that. Let me see if I can pull that up. Rita was telling me about that this morning. I meant to cover that too. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me just check this out. I got to pull this up real quick. Give me a second. I'm going to see if I can pull this up for y'all. We working feverishly. We working feverishly out here in these streets.
We're following breaking news in San Francisco. A high-profile Bay Area tech executive has been killed in a stabbing. Sources tell NBC Bay Area that Bob Lee was attacked early this morning in the 2 a.m. hour in the city. Lee was the chief product officer of MobileCoin and the former CTO of Square. He was also a well-known angel investor. The 43-year-old Lee was stabbed on Main Street in the East Cut neighborhood. This is near Rincon Hill and the Bay Bridge. SFPD says when officers arrived, they found a man had been stabbed. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital where he later died. No further details from investigators as to what led to this deadly stabbing.
Let me see something. Let's see. Bob Lee, an executive at cryptocurrency firm MobileCoin, who helped create Cash App during his time at Block, then Square. For those of y'all that's not familiar, Square, you know the Square that you used to take the payments on and all that other type of stuff. Square changed their name to Block and is actually headed up by the former founder and creator of Twitter, who is Jack Dorsey. Died Tuesday after being stabbed in San Francisco, according to media. Now, let me say this before we really get into this. I don't believe that this is a coincidence. You've never heard of this type of stuff happening at the rate that it's happening now. This is not, honestly, I don't believe, listen, I don't even believe that. And it's funny because me and Charleston was talking about this last night. I can't wait to release this for y'all in the Patreon. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I don't even believe that the trans person that shot up the Christian school was what they presented them to be. I think that this is all a ploy. I think it's all a distraction. I think it's all a way for them to keep you engaged, immersed, especially when you got coming up with election season. Listen, I'm going to talk about Trump today. 34 felony counts right before election season. I don't believe even for a minute that what I see happening on the news is exactly what is being presented to be on the news. Case in point. Bob Lee was an executive at cryptocurrency firm MobileCoin who helped create Cash App during his time at Block. MobileCoin, do you know how many executives died that were at the head of firms or created anything that's managing cryptocurrency once that crash happened? Dudes was just falling left and right. They was having random accidents. They just so happened to be in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time. You talking about millionaires, 100 millionaires and billionaires are just randomly getting clipped off in the middle of the night in San Francisco on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday night, they just randomly getting clipped off. I don't believe it. It does not. It's all cap. It's all cap. I don't believe it even for a second. You're not gonna put this shit in front of my face and tell me that it smell like candles. No way, no how. These dudes be mixed up in some shit. And that's why I keep telling y'all, just because you're getting money, just because you get into the bag, does not mean that you should feel comfortable with doing business with certain people, because the minute that you then start to peel back the layers and look what's under that onion, it smells like shit. Let's continue. Officers responded to reports of a stabbing near the Bay Bridge at 2:35 a.m. Reports of a stabbing near the Bay Bridge at 2 a.m. Right. Yeah. 43-year-old businessman was taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries. No arrests have been made in the case of San Francisco police have not released any suspect details. Lee had reportedly moved to Miami and was visiting the Bay Area the day that he was killed. Look at this timeline. So you out at the Bay Area Bridge at 2:35 a.m. just so happen to be visiting when you already didn't move to Miami. You just so happen to be the one of the founders and the creators of Cash App, and you're managing a cryptocurrency firm that has lost their ass. I'm not even out at 2 in the morning. Well, listen, when I'm rolling down the freeway at 2 in the morning, when I got home yesterday, the first thing I do when I jump on the freeway is I do 125 miles an hour. Why do I do 125 miles an hour? To make sure that ain't nobody following me. Lee had reportedly moved to Miami, was visiting the Bay Area when he got killed. At the time of the death, Lee was working as chief product officer of MobileCoin, a cryptocurrency startup founded in 2017 and acted as an angel investor for companies like Tile and Figma. Guess what, y'all? Figma is, if I'm not mistaken, currently being sold and being leveraged as an asset in order to be able to be moved over into the Adobe portfolio. I bet y'all didn't know that. Figma, don't worry about it. Let's continue. Lee created the mobile payment service Cash App in 2013 while he was working at Jack Dorsey's Block, formerly known as Square. He was hired by Block to develop the company's Android app and was promoted to chief technology officer in 2011. He joined MobileCoin in 2021. Joshua Goldbard, the creator of MobileCoin, posted a 7-tweet thread Wednesday describing Lee's intelligence, energy, and key role in growing the company. He also added concerns about San Francisco's safety, which was echoed by other Twitter users posting about the death. As a lifelong Bay Area resident, I have more questions than answers tonight. No, you don't. You got all of the answers. I believe you got all of the answers. I don't know how to fix what's wrong, but I know something isn't working in our great city. The murder rate in San Francisco has risen slightly since 2019, but overall the crime rate is down. Outpouring of grief online from the tech community. It's real. Getting calls. Heartbreaking. Bob was instrumental to Square and Cash App, Dorsey wrote on Nostr. I first met Lee in the summer of 2006, and he didn't care I was only 14. And we talked tech, geeked out about programming. What the fuck is this motherfucker doing over in on the bridge, in the Bay Area bridge at 2:35 in the morning, where somebody is also feeling comfortable enough to stab this dude and then call the police and say, hey, come and get this nigga? I'm not going for it. I don't believe even for a second that this good white man felt comfortable enough to be walking in the Bay Area when he wasn't even living there anymore at 2:35 in the morning, getting stabbed up, and then somebody calling the police. You're not going to sell me on this one. I'm not going. Never. I'm not going. No way you ever going to convince me that this dude was just randomly walking down the street with his leather jacket in San Francisco getting stabbed up randomly by some random stranger. Nope. Just so happened to be visiting for no reason. Nope. Already had moved to Miami. Nope. I'm not going for it. Nope. You're never going to sell me on this one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going for it. Anyways, let me continue to read these super chats, and then we're going to get over into this China conversation, because I know y'all want to talk about the currency, and then we're going to get into the Charleston White situation. JT Coinring says, hello, Anton and the Bag Chasers. Thank you, JT Coinrings. I appreciate you. D-Web is in the building. D-Web says, I'm 28 and I felt like my window of attained wealth was closing. One financial video from you changed my mindset. I'm locked in. Thank you, sir. Man, you only 28 years old, bro. I'm going to be honest with you. Most guys don't even start getting their life together until they turn in their early 30s. Most men don't even start thinking about getting their life together until they in their early 30s. You're only 28, fam. Your brain just finished fully developing. You got a lot of time on your hands, boy. We're going to turn you into a monster. Shout out to D-Web. David Mosby is in the building. My dog says, thanks for replying back to me. Can't wait to talk to you. Thanks to Rita and you for being a beautiful image of loving, unified, black married couple. Thank you, David. And as I said, Anton is looking at all emails. So if y'all need to get in touch with me, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. I'm not currently taking any more new coaching sessions until at least a couple months from now. I'm only doing reoccurring sessions from people that's already had a coaching session from me. Adonis is in the building with the 1909 says, this challenge is the ultimate hush your mouth move. Anyone can talk about what do you deliver or what do you provide to people that you make money. Get it. We're gonna run this checkup in our own neighborhoods. Kobe says, thanks, big bro, for the game on the IT route. Just got that corporate bank position. Time to get all these bags. Shout out to the bag chasers that's running that checkup in the middle of a recession. Shout out to the bag chasers that's running that checkup in the middle of a recession. My dog, Uncle Tom, says, what's good, Anton? You talking my language, replacing a dollar. We talked about this on Fight Club last weekend. It's scary time. Most want to talk about BS all day. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give you my perspective and my opinion on it. Thank you, my friend. Adonis says the U.S. has been making moves like China to gain control of everything stateside. Any business that gives people some form of freedom is an enemy to them. Thank you for the fat ball. My dog, Uncle Tom, says I call BS. He was set up and planned out. I think so. Again, make sure y'all hit a like or dislike for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications. I want to get into this conversation about China. So first and foremost, for those of you that are not familiar, I'm going to play a quick video that gives you some insight and information on what's going on with this whole BRICS situation, with Chinese allegedly trying to devalue and get rid of the U.S. dollar as the main form of currency, the main form of currency that the world then depends on. Again, hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. And then I want to play a video from Patrick Bet David because I want to see exactly what it is that he thinks about it and the people that's on this panel. Shout out to my dog, Demetrius Coleman. Demetrius Coleman says, appreciate the coaching call yesterday. Keep playing chess. Anybody that's had a coaching call with me, you know what it is. Demetrius, congratulations to you again, my friend. I'm looking forward to the good news. After we've talked about and planned for whatever it is that we've talked about and planned for it, I don't want to let the cat out the bag. Shout out to Demetrius Coleman. Shout out to everybody that's got the coaching call from me. I love you. I appreciate you. And hopefully I added just as much value into you as you've added into me as far as being a part of the Bag Chasers. Let's get into the video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz and Forbes Media Chair and Editor-in-Chief Steve Forbes. Okay, first to you, Steve. The president not commenting. He's now on a tour of 20 states talking jobs. More and more polls show the Biden White House is failing with voters.
Thank you for the super chats. I appreciate you, Jessica. Definitely going to be reading it throughout the show, love.
Don't like what he's doing. The majorities don't like it. They're majority worried about inflation. The majority say he's dishonest. Steve, are they ready for this? China is now trying to replace the U.S. dollar with their currency in global trade. What do you think of that story, Steve?
Well, China for several years has made very clear, along with the Russians, they want to downgrade the dollar because they think that'll enhance their power around the world. And certainly the way we've treated the dollar over the year has gone in that direction. However, people are not going to trust the Chinese yuan. You may get these one-off deals like they're doing with the French, but China does not have real capital markets. China has capital controls. And so in terms of currency, people are going to prefer the dollar to the yuan. And so in that sense, I think we've got some time to get our house in order. And that 20-state tour you're talking about with Joe Biden, that shows how utterly out of touch he and his team are in terms of the economy, proclaiming that even though people are feeling that things are not going well, they say things are just fine, shows how utterly out of touch they are with reality. Talk about the ultimate bubble. That tour is it.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, let's address a couple things that's being communicated, right? China is the main player here. All right. China is the main player here. Now, there's no need, in my personal opinion, not a financial advisor, so it's just my personal opinion. There's no need in consumers sitting there worrying and starting to panic as a result of what's being communicated across the board as far as this whole BRICS or China looking to replace the US dollar as the main currency, the yuan. Okay. The more important thing that you really need to start paying attention to is who are the players? Why are they playing it this way? And then why are they incentivized to do so? A, China. China's main enemy is the United States of America. Why? Because the United States of America has more influence and power on what's going on across the entire world because we have a stronger military and military presence. The thing that makes a country great, the first foundational thing that makes a country great is not how financially sound it is, not how they move from a financial perspective. It's how strong is your military. The reason why we pump literally hundreds of billions of dollars every single year into our military is because that is what stabilizes what happens from a worldwide perspective. It is not the money that you make. It is not any of that. It is your military prowess, and that is the thing that stabilizes or instills fear, which then allows for you to do every single thing or every other thing that happens throughout the world. The thing that you're able to impress upon other people is your military might. That's what creates the partnerships. The financial stability is the thing that incentivizes it afterwards. But your military is the thing that determines whether or not countries or anywhere else is going to acquiesce over into whatever it is that you're doing, because it provides a form of stability across the board. Okay? At a very basic level, it's your military. I know a lot of people like to sit here and they complain and they say, listen, why are they pumping all of this money into the military when they can be fixing homelessness? We can't afford not to. We can't afford not to. It is a global game. It is not about what it is that you think about in your own personal neighborhood. It is a global game. Secondly, we do not, in my opinion, have the right leader in the president of the United States and Joe Biden, and then as his vice president, Kamala Harris, to effectively combat what it is that we see as being essentially a chess move by China. Now, you talk about Russia, you talk about Brazil, you talk about Africa, and there is a picture that shows up, and I use it as a cover photo, saying that the world has left most black people behind. There is a picture of all of them holding hands, right? First of all, Brazil is a piece of shit, okay? Just to be frank. Brazil's economy and financial prowess is literally in shambles. They're reaching for anybody that will grab their hand, that will allow for them to continue to have any kind of say-so on what happens from a worldwide perspective. But the one thing that Brazil has is resources. And so what China is doing, similar to exactly what it is that they're doing in Russia, because Russia is so weak, because they underestimated how long or what was going to happen in Ukraine. What China is doing is it's leveraging its financial prowess in order to extract resources from their other three partners. And then what it also does is it helps to destabilize the US dollar, which allows for a financial war. What have I always said to y'all? What have I always said to y'all? I said, if you ever want to understand what's going on in your neighborhood, what's going on in your marriage, what's going on in the economy, what's going on in your US politics, you want to understand what's going on worldwide, you have to understand how it comes back to the money, right? China's economy is on the verge of an upturn and a collapse, and they can't even get their own housing market in order because they've overbuilt, but they don't have any real stability when it comes to providing people the opportunity to really, really become successful by providing a strong middle class, which is the thing that then powers most economies. So what you see is a lot of instability over in China, but they still have financial prowess, and they've grown to the point to where they have enough of a middle class and a big enough population to where they can start to make an impact because they still have military prowess over there also. And so they're leveraging their resources to continue to invest in other countries. What do they do when they invest in other countries? They then say, okay, Russia, you have resources that we need. You have energy. We need energy. So what we need to do is partner in order to continue to have this war against the United States of America, similar to Brazil, similar to Africa, okay? China and the Saudis have literally bought up the overwhelming majority of Africa. Why? Because they're a mineral rich, and resource rich country. Okay. So when you start to make these assessments, it's not just a war against the US, it's how is it that we can benefit from these partnerships, because none of us are strong enough to be able to take on what it is that we don't like by ourselves. Let me continue to play this video a little bit, and then I'm gonna go over to the Patrick Bet David.
To what Steve just said, Jason, just factually, talking to economists on Wall Street and in Washington, when they keep saying that they don't want to be named in the quote, but they keep saying this might be one of the worst presidencies we've seen in the modern era. This is one of the worst White Houses they've ever had to deal with. They collapsed the border, record inflation, 14% all in under this White House, and just, more problems for the American people than they expected, Jason.
Yeah, the problem, though, is they think they're doing a great job. And after the 2022 election, Joe Biden said he was not going to change his trajectory in what he's doing. But I think the world, and certainly the United States, sees this projection of weakness. And that's why China's on the move. That's why Russia does not feel any pain for the United States. They just took a Wall Street Journal reporter. You got Iran that's developing a nuclear weapon. You have Saudi Arabia forming deals with Iran. I mean, there is nothing that the president can point to that is actually going well. The border's going the wrong direction. Prices are up, and he's such a poor communicator. I mean, that's the thing. He may go on a tour. The answer to our problems is not more cowbell and more Joe Biden. That exacerbates the problem.
Yeah, to what?
Let me play this other video for y'all, and then we're going to get a reaction to it.
China and Brazil strike deal to ditch the U.S. dollar. This is a zero hedge story. And, they have reached a deal to trade in their own currencies, bypassing the U.S. dollar. This deal will allow the two countries to conduct their massive trade, which amounts to $150 billion per year, and financial transactions directly exchanging yuan for reais, vice versa. This deal is part of Beijing's latest move against the U.S. dollar, extending its bilateral U.S. dollar attempting currency arrangement beyond countries such as Russia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, to now include Latin American exporting powerhouse. While we are still strong, long away from the yuan replacing.
Don't get caught up in the verbiage. I'm a C student. Don't get caught up in the verbiage. You understand what I'm saying. The point that I'm making is, well, if you get it, you get it. We'll break it down in a second. Let me continue. I don't want y'all to be distracted from this. I'll get into it in a second.
U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency. The current U.S. ruling regime is destroying the world's faith and confidence, not only in the dollar, but in what was once a superpower and is increasingly a third world banana republic. Tom.
So I think what most people need to understand, and this is where I think Americans need to step back off headlines and just learn something very, very quickly. And that is 1944, there was something called Bretton Woods. And that's where the U.S. dollar was tied.
What he's basically breaking down for you guys is the U.S. dollar has always been backed by resources, specifically gold. Let me give you a little bit of a history lesson, okay? What gives the dollar its value? What gives the dollar its value? It's a fiat currency. How do you determine what the rate of inflation is? Because before we can even start to have this conversation about what's going on worldwide, you need to understand how fiat currency works. You need to understand what inflation is. What gives the dollar its value, especially compared to every other currency worldwide? A lot of y'all are saying gold, resources, nothing. I see Latanya from Colorado. What gives the dollar its value is your belief in it. When there was a bank run, right? And that you seen what was happening over there at Silicon Valley Bank, and everybody started getting worried, Biden immediately got online and he said, listen, your money is safe. It doesn't even matter about whether or not it's insured by the FDIC, but up to $250,000 per account. He said your money is safe. In 2008, there was this saying that said that banks are too big to fail. And it's true. Because the dollar itself used to be backed. Now, the dollar itself is just fiat currency. It's not even worth the paper that it's printed on. But what gives it its value is our belief in it. And so when I see stupid stuff in the comments, for example, somebody said, Anton knows one of his $1 million is going to be $500,000 overnight. Well, most people like me that actually is not a rapper understands that I don't actually keep my money in cash. I'm asset rich, not cash rich. Let me say it again. I'm asset rich, not cash rich. So everything that I do continues to beat the rate of inflation. I'm not like you, right? You have a savings and a checkings, and you like Kevin Hart, see what's going on is the way that my savings and my checking account is set up. We don't do that over here. It's a whole nother different conversation that we having over here, all right? But fiat currency, okay, it used to be backed by resources. So, for example, let's take gold. And you give the equivalent of what you would say that fiat currency is worth is then backed by the Federal Reserve in order to give it its value. And so that's what created the belief in it for people to be able to trade back and forth so that we can be able to buy food and so on and so forth without killing each other, right? It was an easier way for us to trade back and forth and exchange resources in order for us to not kill each other, all right? This is a basic lesson in inflation, fiat currency, and what the value of a dollar is, right? Now, throughout history, what happened was ups, downs, boom, busts, mismanaging of resources, Social Security is underfunded, victim Olympics programs such as welfare and all of this other type of stuff, right? Mismanagement of funds, the whole 9 yards. And so what happened was, in order for our federal government to be able to manage it more effectively instead of dealing with it, such as learning how to budget and then keeping inflation in check, what they did was they printed more money. Because they then realized that after a while, your belief in it was so strong and that the only thing that they had to do was keep inflation down to at least 2.5% or 2%. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. But the value of a movie ticket today versus 1980 is completely different. The value of a car today versus 1980 is completely different. The value of the oil and the gas that you use to put in that car is different than it was in 1980. That's where we have inflation. That's where we have inflation. So they went to print more money, which is why you then got, and you were excited about, the stimulus checks that you got during the pandemic and during the 2008 crisis. And you said, yeah, at least Biden, he gave me some money. At least Obama, he gave me $1,000, $600 per person. They incentivizing me to have kids, so I'm going to have a whole bunch of kids and I'm going to be on welfare and so on and so forth, because they continued to print money, which then devalued what the money was worth, because the more of it in circulation, not actually backed by anything, then makes you interdependent on the idea that the value of that dollar is based off of what you believe in it. The minute that people stop believing in our own fiat currency is the minute that it then collapses, or the value of it goes down, similar to other countries that had hyperinflation. So on a very basic level, the value of money is not backed by anything, so it's interdependent or dependent on the people to then believe in it, which does not only include you, but it includes the entire world's reserve, and that they keep a majority of their resources in the American dollar. So now it turns into not just from you and your neighborhood and whether or not you can go to the store and get some chicken wings, that then inflation was out of control at the equivalent of 8, 9, 10% over and throughout the pandemic, and you didn't feel like you were feeling it because you were getting a raise on your job, but the raise that you was getting wasn't even keeping up with the rate of inflation, which is why they now saying that minimum wage should be at $20 an hour, right? But on top of that, from a global scale, on a global scale and a global perspective, it affects other countries because they then weigh their current currency and the value of it against the dollar. It is the standard of the world, which then brings us over into what it is that we see happening from China partnering with Russia and also Brazil, and that they're trying to destabilize the American dollar to then make sure that the world's currency, not from an immediate perspective. This is not something that happens overnight. This is not something that happens right now. This is something that happens years and decades out, and that you work very vigilantly as a country to destabilize one's currency in order to give your country more power, because you then partner with other countries that then give you resources in order for that level of stability. That is the very basic thing that I can explain to you as far as what is happening as far as the American dollar, the Chinese yuan, Russia, and then their partnerships across the globe, okay? So when you see these conversations happening, or you see people having conversations in a barbershop and they start talking a bunch of shit and they don't even know the foundation of what's happening, then you can educate them, or then you can make a more informed statement because you have a foundation and an understanding of exactly how we got to this point in the first place, okay? So now we have a president. That is managing on all fronts a war in Ukraine, instability in the United States of America, as far as people's confidence and what it is that they see happening with the American dollar and the banking system. And then they throw in a bunch of other things to try to distract you from the real issues of what's going on a worldwide basis by telling you to focus on Trump getting indicted, abortion rights, transgenders, fake shooting up a school, black rights, reparations, all of this other bullshit that y'all stuck on, when in reality, you have a much bigger issue that could possibly upend and destabilize what it is that we see happening on a worldwide basis within the next decade or two. Okay, so let's continue to play the video.
To gold. In other words, the value of the U.S. dollar was connected to the value of gold. And between Fort Knox and other areas, we had gold reserves.
Reading super chats throughout the show. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
So the U.S. currency on a global scale was deemed as being valuable, tied to gold, and stable. And in 1944, everyone came to this agreement to say, hey, let's peg the value of our currency to the dollar, because the dollar is pegged to gold, and it brought international global stability.
What did I just explain to y'all? What did I just explain to y'all? I just explained to you how the United States of America and the American dollar was able to create stability across the world. Not just within the United States of America, but across the world. So when you see America's debt at 31 trillion, or you see America's inflation at 8, 9, 5, 6%, and you see the Federal Reserve trying to raise rates in order to get a hold on inflation, it's not just based off of what the American consumer is going through. It's based off of what it is that they're instilling within the world as far as the confidence in the American dollar, because that is where they hold a lot of their stability in. They compare their currency to the American dollar the same way that the American dollar is supposed to be held in reserves as far as gold. It is a worldwide game. This is not just something that is just happening in your little hood, in your neighborhood, and little Ray Ray and all of them. And this ain't a bag of chips and Doritos that used to cost 25 cents. Now it's $1.59 and nothing like that. No. This is a bigger game that we are playing, and Biden is not sitting here worried about what you blackity blacks is talking about in your community. He's literally dealing with, whether he's admitting it or not, openly or not, something that is much bigger than what we see happening on the surface. And the one thing that he has to do is continue to instill confidence in the American people. And the second thing that he has to do is make sure that he instills confidence in the world that continues to hold the American dollar to a high standard. Okay? Reading super chats throughout the show. Let's continue.
It also created the dollar as the world's reserve currency. Well, what does that mean? That means if you have extra reserves and you bought them in dollars, they were stable because they were tied to the gold. Now, Nixon, and we can talk about what you just referenced a minute ago, was Nixon taking us off the gold standard 72, 73, which had nothing to do with the Vietnam War and political instability in the economy at that time.
I agree.
It was deeper.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
It was deeper reasons. That was the front excuse. Right now, you know what the average is right now? Reserves? 62% of countries' reserves are held in U.S. dollars.
62% of the world, not Canada, not Mexico, 62% of the world's reserves, the entire world reserves, is held in the American dollar. Now, that is not something that China can just come in and upend overnight. That is something that they have to continue to work towards and erode over a period of time. You know how you wanted that chick in high school and she wasn't checking for you, and then she went over to the drug dealer, and then after the drug dealer bust her down and everybody ran a train on her, and then throughout the years, once she had babies and stuff and she no longer was the top of the food chain, but you still looked at her in a certain type of way because you hadn't seen her in a while, right? The way that you view her and the way that the world views her is completely different. Erosion over time then made her available to you because she became less valuable. I'm breaking it down from a C student's perspective. See, listen, if you just talk about it from a money perspective, most people is not going to get it. But when you start to equate it in pictures and videos and you start equating it to women, then people are like, I got it now. I got it now. I got it. I got it. I got it now. The value that you seen her versus the value that she actually have to the rest of the world is completely different. I should rename this to erosion, not pressure. I should rename this live stream to erosion, not pressure. No? All right, let me stop. This ain't a relationship talk. This is we talking about the American dollar here. All right, let's continue.
62% right now. And so even though we went off the gold standard, we're the reserve currency. So people see the United States currency as very stable. That's what's important. And what we're seeing here is the yuan. Everybody hears the yuan. Well, that's a unit of measure. The actual currency in China is called the renminbi. That's their dollar. Dollar equals renminbi. Yuan is like a unit. And so what they want is they want to slowly, remember, China plays a long game. They want to slowly replace the dollar as the world's reserve currency.
Slowly. Erosion. Slowly have one penis enter this woman, and then over time, it's another, and then it's another, and then it's another, and then she take a plan B. And that plan B cost her like $70, $80. And then they take another. And then she go over to Planned Parenthood. And the next thing you know, her womb is ruined. And then she get another D. And then another D. And then she take another D. And then she can't unsee what it is that she saw prior to being with you. And so she measures you against every other man. And then she's ruined for life. And now y'all got a trauma bond in order for y'all to have a relationship. This is what erosion is, okay? Listen, I know that they told y'all in school that the definition of erosion is completely different than the way that I explained it, but I have to give it to you from a real dude's perspective or from a C student's perspective, because how I see things and what the definitions say is a completely different conversation. All right, make sure y'all stay tuned in. Hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications. All right, erosion. That's the name of the game. Let's continue.
Because,
will they succeed?
Huh?
Will they succeed?
Well, they're taking one step at a time, and they're starting with African nations that they put into, by the way, you can also go study mercantilism, where you come in and you take all the resources and then you sell them back things that are made out of the resources. So China is in an active state right now of assisting many small regional Latin American and African nations on deals that are intentionally going to go bad and then leave them with the collateralization of the country they've just pillaged.
So, what does that mean when we say that they're actually buying up Africa and China, all of this type of stuff, right? What are we talking about when we say that they're over there? China knows that they're loaning money and giving money to nations and resources that eventually will balloon to the point to where they can't pay them back. It's not a secret. When somebody gives somebody a bad deal, the goal isn't to necessarily extract the resources. We know that you can't pay it back. The goal is to then own your resources. Because it's not about the amount of money that I gave you. That amount of money doesn't have the same value to me as the resources that you're standing on. And so what China is doing is that they're starting small and they're infiltrating these different countries that don't even understand the value of the land that they're standing on. And so they give them things. It's almost the same way that when America was invaded, and then, when they started to try to figure out exactly what the Indians were finding valuable, when they were trying to figure out what the Indians were finding valuable, that's the way in which they were able to usurp them and then take over their land ultimately, and then move them over, in a lot of instances, over to lands and places that were uninhabitable or less than stellar when it comes to these Indian reservations that these Indians now are on. If y'all ever been to an Indian reservation, a lot of these Indian reservations, they fucked up. They own a lot of casinos, but it be fucked up in them Indian reservations. It's fucked up. But the point that I'm making is that if you want to take over something, then you give them something that's less valuable to you, but that you know that over time will eventually prevent them from being able to pay it back, so that you can then take their land from them. And then ultimately you extract the resources from that land.
And so long term, if somebody doesn't stand up, long term, sure, China could be successful because they're playing this not the way the West plays it. The West has played the game in terms of history, in terms of regimes, a regime of leadership. China is playing this long term in terms of decades.
Dynasties.
Tom, Charlie, what are you thinking?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt. I agree. I think the dollar, it's gonna hit a flat line because Germany, South Korea, and Japan are not going to drop the dollar as the world reserve currency, and especially Germany and Japan. They produce a lot of value and a lot of wealth, and so the euro backstopping the world reserve currency, meaning the dollar being the backstop of the euro, is actually in our benefit. But India is going to be the big question, right? If India falls, that's a growing market.
Yep.
Brazil is a totally corrupt country. They're a broken country. The bulls on Brazil have been wrong the last 20 years. It's like $1 trillion GDP. You could fact check me on it. They're mainly a natural resource hub, and they have a real hard time with their own homegrown industry, and there was like 1.6 trillion. I was about right. It's actually flatlined and gone down in recent years. So the bulls on Brazil have been wrong, and with Lula now becoming president, they're going to become a wholly owned colony of the Chinese Communist Party. Basically, that's what Brazil.
Catastrophic for the nation.
It's
by
terrible.
The way. Yeah.
No, the future of Brazil is put in permanent jeopardy because of Bolsonaro not staying as president, prime minister.
And everybody thought BRIC through the 90s was just an acronym for emerging nations.
Yes.
Brazil, Russia, India, China. It wasn't. It was a coalition over there that wanted to undermine U.S. authority on a global trade basis.
So
the interesting thing about it is that, from my perspective, I think that India is probably the most important piece in this entire puzzle that we're putting together. Honestly, I think that India's economy, India's growing population, even a lot of the manufacturing is starting to move over into India. Everybody's paying attention to Russia. Everybody's paying attention to China. Everybody's looking at Brazil's partnership with India, with China and Russia. Nobody is paying attention to India. Nobody's paying attention to India. India is the piece or the key piece in all of this, in my opinion. But neither here nor there. We'll keep an eye on it. I have a limited amount of time that I'm able to dedicate to this, so I can't continue to have this conversation. Maybe we'll continue it tomorrow, or maybe we'll talk about it on Friday. I don't know. I usually have free smoke on Friday. I allow for y'all to be able to come up here and say whatever it is that y'all want to say. We'll go from there. All right. In the meantime, one thing that I do see happening right now that's continuing to keep y'all distracted is Trump. And Trump was indicted, and he's being charged with 34 felony counts in the New York court. Let's get into that.
Former President Donald Trump is back in Florida after pleading not guilty.
You know what? Before we get into that, let me read some of these super chats. All right. Jessica LaShawn says, new to the channel and love your insight. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for continuing to rock with me. I love you. ST says, Anton, your commentary is intelligent and thought-provoking. Definitely respect a straight shooter who values integrity and honesty. Thank you for the 10 ball. I appreciate you. Adonis says, 50% of the world's gold and diamonds come from South Africa. Diamonds are they don't even have any value. You know where the value of diamonds come from? Did you know that there was an overabundance of diamonds? You know where the value of it comes from? For us, it comes from artificial scarcity. So basically, them selling you on the idea or reserving the amount that's in circulation so that they can continue to keep the price high. It's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother lesson that I can come on to. When y'all see all of these rappers and why? If you buy a chain, if you just so happen to be a dude that's getting a lot of money and you buy a chain, don't go for the shiny things. If you're going to do it, then only buy a solid gold chain. I'm not a chain guy, so you're never going to see me with a chain on like that. But buy a solid gold Cuban or just a chain, because at the very least, the value of that chain maintains. The minute that you start putting all of these, man, most of these people don't even know what the quality of a diamond is. Y'all don't know what a VBS means. Y'all don't know any of that. Right? And they keep, anyways. And now a lot of y'all got lab diamonds. Y'all really do think that I don't have one diamond. You ain't never seen one diamond. I keep my chick with a little diamond, a diamond ring. I upgrade her every year just because that's what she likes. So, but in a general sense, from a business perspective, y'all can have that. Shout out to you, Adonis. Also, Self-Made Forever says, since 2009, 579 banks have went down. It's a pretty normal thing for banks to actually go out. So when all of y'all say we need a black bank, go ahead and good luck with that. Adonis 1909 says the U.S. control all central banks except for Russia, Iran, South Korea. Gaddafi was separating and was taken out. The push for the CBDC is to the U.S. government control. Thank you for the 5 ball. Adonis also says we have been getting stimulus on the backs of the other countries, and we talk down on them is arrogant on our behalf. Well, it's not arrogant. It's ignorance. I think it's more ignorance than arrogance because most people have no clue on where this money is coming from anyway. So when I see people even say reparations, well, the first thing that I say is, well, how are you going to pay for it? We going to steal it from the other families. Okay. Silk Visuals is in the building, says, with China dropping the dollar, is it a good idea to hedge a percentage of your money in gold? If so, what is a good percentage? I think that if you don't understand exactly what your investments are in, for me, I'm always going to hedge everything that I have in real estate. And not in real estate just from like, okay, buy any kind of piece of land or anything like that. I'm always hedging everything I can in real estate. And so I think that gold is fine. You can always hedge whatever it is that you want to have in gold. But the problem is with fluctuating things that's happening within the economy, are you continuing to beat the rate of inflation? usually when people start talking about putting their money in precious metals, they're looking to be protected instead of continuing to beat the rate of inflation. So take that into consideration. But I think that gold is fine. It's always fine to be able to invest in gold. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Jake Fever says the U.S. reserves may flow out of other countries faster than we think, especially if energy is brought in other currency. Check out Glenn Beck Blaze analysis on the U.S. dollar collapse, bruh. Get assets. I've been telling people to get assets for a long time. For a long time. Self-Made Forever says, Anton, did you know currently the continent of Africa is splitting apart? Yes, I did know. Like literally the landmass is separating slowly. Is that from global warming? I don't know. Lamar Black Attack says, I want to ask permission to use the term you've been Anton, or was I Antoning those ninjas subliminal to the term 10 years ago? I was mossing those ninjas on the basketball court. You can use whatever you want, big dog. Stand-up guy Ron is in the building, says China has been running the tab all the way up on smaller countries, the Caribbean, South American, and African countries. They play a monopoly. They are. I think that the U.S. is also playing monopoly also. It's just not as visible, but I think it's in another way. We can continue this conversation. Don't worry about it. Aaron says, this was all outlined in the book of diplomacy. What book did I tell y'all to read? Well, maybe I didn't tell all of y'all. A lot of y'all bag chasers that I've had in coaching sessions, some of y'all, once y'all get to a certain point, I told y'all to read the book Diplomacy. Diplomacy was written by Henry Kissinger. Diplomacy by Henry Kissinger. It's not for everybody. That book is like, it looked like this. It's this thick. Diplomacy is like this thick, y'all. All right? So it is an incredible book for those of you that have advanced to a certain level, especially understanding things from a business and a financial perspective. Diplomacy is actually a book that was recommended to me by one of my bosses that then promoted me and helped me to get to the top of corporate America. But that book is thick. It is thick and it is deep. So if y'all have not already, check out the book Diplomacy by Henry Kissinger. It is a great book. All right, so let's continue, y'all. Let's deep dive into this Trump thing.
Former President Donald Trump is back in Florida after pleading not guilty to 34 felony counts in a New York court yesterday. Trump spoke to supporters last night from Mar-a-Lago, and Eamon Javers joins us with the latest. Good morning, Eamon.
Good morning, Becky. It was quite a scene in New York yesterday. We had helicopters flying over.
Not Becky.
Overhead, demonstrators in the streets, and intense security in the.
And how many of y'all remember that song by Plies? Give me that Becky. That was a jam. Hold on, let me find that. Give me a second. Just give me a second. Give me 1 second. Some things come in my mind and I get distracted. So give me a second.
Right now, bro. For me though, must get back here for I bolt. You miss back here, let me know. Lick it.
All right. That's all I can play. I don't want them saying, Anton, take it down. Anton, take it down. That's all I can play. Let's see if we can get a little bit more in there.
Lick, yeah, I love that, bro. Head man, that's for sure.
All right, that's all I got for y'all. We got to get back to our regularly scheduled program. All right? No more distractions. Let's go.
Former President Donald Trump is back in Florida after pleading not guilty to 34 felony counts in a New York court yesterday.
Reading super chats throughout the show. I see you on the Way Up podcast.
Trump spoke to supporters last night from Mar-a-Lago, and Eamon Javers joins us with the latest. Good morning, Eamon.
Good morning, Becky. It was quite a scene in New York yesterday.
Good morning, Becky.
We had helicopters flying overhead, demonstrators in the streets, and intense security in the courtroom as former President Donald Trump was charged with 34 felony counts.
What up, though, Fatty? I see you in the building, Fatty. Fatty is in the building. What up? What up? What up?
To falsifying business records relating to payments to porn star Stormy Daniels and others dating back as far as the 2016 presidential campaign. Now, this was the first time in American history that a former president has seen the inside of a courtroom as a defendant, and it came at a time that he's the frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024. Court documents laid out the tawdry details of an episode from the 2016 campaign in which the then Trump attorney Michael Cohen said about paying hush money to 3 people who had embarrassing stories to tell about Donald Trump, including the former porn star Stormy Daniels.
Who would have ever thought, of all of the different things and all of the different people that have been associated with Trump? Now, listen, I think that Trump was a great president. The only problem that I have with Trump is that he wasn't more like Obama when it came to his presentation and his image. If I could have gotten Obama a matter of fact, steadfast, standing on my square business perspective of Trump in the presentation of an Obama that sold y'all hope and didn't give you shit. He gave you all of these talking points, and he was well articulated, and he had all of the and he held his fingers like this. This is how I learned to talk like this. As I was looking at Obama, I said, why does he talk like this? Well, it exudes power, and it shows people that he's paying attention, and he's using his hands effectively as far as being able to communicate, because it subconsciously communicates certain things. And when he talks like this to you, Trump is like that C student. You know, he had a lot of bankruptcies. He did a lot of things. Had a lot of people try to come against him with his casinos, especially over there in Atlantic City. Trump got the only hotel on the Strip that ain't got no casino in it because he couldn't get licensed over there in Vegas. You know, of all the things that we could have got Trump for, all of the things that the different people that were associated with him and the people that's accused him of, they said that even the mob couldn't even press Trump because he had them goons around him. The one thing that took him down, not even take him down, but that's preventing him from becoming the president again, is your image and a fucking porn star. Oh my God. A porn star. Y'all voted Obama in twice, and all he gave y'all was gay rights and LGBTQ legislation. And y'all, a fucking piece of pussy that is aged out and look like old milk now is the thing that's coming back to haunt him. A fucking porn star. A chick that wasn't even worth the bed that you were laying on when you were busting her down. He probably spent the equivalent of 20 minutes with this chick. It's cost him 150 bands plus lawyer fees, consultations, and now this dude is facing 34 felonies because he just sat there with a chick that probably wasn't even that good in bed. Are you telling me that a piece of box is worth all of that?
Now, the Manhattan DA said Trump.
What up, bro? What's up, Tom? Chilling. Hold on one second.
Yeah, I think Boosie gonna take the fight.
I'm sorry. We had business to take care of. All right. We got bigger things on the horizon. Y'all over there playing checkers, and we gonna go over there and play chess. So we working on some things behind the scenes. Let's continue into the show.
Falsified records relating to those payments, falsely claiming that they were legal retainer payments to Cohen in order to obscure their true purpose as payoff payments. That kind of business record fraud, he said, is a bread and butter case for his...
So wait. So the 34 felony counts come from falsified records related to payments to Stormy Daniels, and falsely claimed payments were for legal retainer to Michael Cohen. I guess the thing that I'm trying to understand is why was he being recorded? Why was he being recorded? Neither here nor there. Let's continue.
Office.
We have a distinct and strong, I would say profound, independent interest in New York State. This is the business capital of the world. We regularly do cases involving false business statements. The bedrock, in fact, the basis for business integrity and a well-functioning business marketplace is true and accurate record keeping. That's the charge that's brought here.
Now, the former president rallied his supporters upon return to Florida last night, telling them the case is simply illegitimate.
This fake case was brought only to interfere with the upcoming 2024 election, and it should be dropped immediately.
I agree with him. I agree 100%. Listen. I don't believe even for 1 second that this is seeking justice. I don't believe for 1 second that this is seeking justice. I think that this is the powers that be, including the Democratic Party that is now in power, on a witch hunt to distract you and to continue to remove any level of credibility, or to then have Donald Trump spending the majority of his time fighting 34 felony cases over a hoe. I don't think even for 1 second, I'm reading super chats throughout the show, I don't think even for 1 second that this is a credible, that this is the real reason as to why they're doing this at all. And you know how they do it, right? You know how they play it. So on the surface, it's all going to look like, oh, no. Listen, nobody should get away with it. Justice is for everybody. That's what they're going to sell you on. But the real thing is that they see him as a real threat, because the one thing that I realized when Trump first got elected, I never believed that Trump really wanted to be the president of the United States. I believed, and I still believe to this day, that his initial announcement into the race to become president of the United States was a opportunity for him to be able to market himself and get more visibility for his brand. Because one thing we know for sure is that Trump know how to market. If you don't know how to do nothing else, he knows how to market himself to a bag, right? More visibility, more publicity is good for everybody, including the Trump brand. But then he hit something, because with him being so transparent and direct, it resonated with the people, because people were tired of seeing this fluff, and they were tired of hearing lies being sold and told to them, and they just wanted somebody to tell them the truth. So when he said the truth, whether you liked it or not, whether you agreed with it or not, it was no way that you could not respect the idea that he was telling you exactly what it was that he felt. He came through and he said, listen, black people, you've been trying it for all these years. Your school is fucked up. Your schools is fucked up. You might as well try it my way. And I seen everybody get mad. And then Biden came and said, listen, if you ain't black if you ain't voting for me. And y'all completely overlooked it. And now look at what it is that we have, right? And so regardless of how you feel about him, he's effective. He has a base. He galvanizes audiences. He's able to overcome any obstacle, including the banning on Facebook and Twitter and all of this other type of stuff, right? And so I believe this is a witch hunt. What we know for sure And every dude that had ever caught a case, if you didn't had a brother, if you didn't had a homie inside of in the neighborhood, if any dude has ever got arrested and indicted or whatever, what they do is they throw every single thing that they can about you. So, for example, you can get money transferred from somebody that stole some money that robbed a bank, right? Let's say somebody robbed a bank and they put the money in the bank and they sent some over to you, right? And then you knew that they robbed the bank. In order to get you to snitch on them, they're going to say, listen, we going to get you with concealing and harboring a terrorist. We going to get you with concealing and harboring a felon. And he let the gun over your house, so we going to get you with an illegal gun possession. And we going to get you with money laundering. Now, money laundering is 15 years. You're going to say, what the fuck? I ain't laundering no money. And they're going to say, yes, you did, because you accepted a cash app from this dude electronically. And so that's wire fraud, is money laundering and all of that. So literally you're facing like 60 years. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute. I don't know this dude. I ain't never did nothing to him or whatever, so on and so forth. Well, they're going to be like, well, listen, we can get you up out of this, so just tell me what you know. It's a classic police tactic. They're going to try to trump up maybe that's where they got the name from. They're going to trump it up. They're going to try to trump up every single charge, and then, as Peter Investor says, throw the kitchen sink at you. And they're going to say, listen, because this is an electronic transaction, it was wire fraud, and it was this, and it was that, and you concealed and set up false documents because, and wiretaps and all of that, and you facing 60 to 75 years. What you going to do about it? And so you telling me with the possibility of paying a hoe that sucked you off, that this is now going to amount to 34 felony charges? Stop it. He's absolutely right. It is a witch hunt. It is an opportunity. Whether you like him or not, you can't ignore the fact that it is a witch hunt in order for them to try to take him down and prevent him from being successful when it comes to this election. It's dirty. This is what you call dirty politics. It is the dirtiest game that you can possibly play.
So what's next? Well, the first thing that's going to happen is discovery, when the defense will get access to all the evidence against Trump. Then various motions will be made debating points.
Look at the dates. 15 days for the prosecution to submit evidence to the defense. 45 days for Trump defense team to file pretrial motions. And then the next hearing is set for December 4th. If this is not literally directly flying in the face of an upcoming election, I don't know what is. I don't know what it is.
In the case, and the next hearing here is not expected until December, and that sets up potentially a dramatic election year trial of a presidential candidate. That's something that we haven't seen before, guys. Back over to you.
I mean, I guess the slow roll on this, at that point, there's going to be a lot more activity in terms of where the presidential race stands at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be heading into an election year the next time there's a hearing going into 2024. I mean, it's sort of astonishing timing to think that it would take that long to get to a hearing here. And I think the key thing here for the DA is he's going to have to explain to a jury and, by extension to the American public, why, if this case is so important, why it hasn't been charged until now. I mean, these underlying facts have been well known for years. The conduct here has been described in newspapers, for a long time. We're talking about a case that goes back to 2016. He's going to have to explain to the jury why these falsified business records allegedly are so important that they need to be dealt with now. And if they are so important that they need to be dealt with now, how come that hadn't been done before?
Facts. So listen, I'm not going for it. I don't believe it even a little bit. I think that every single thing that you see happening publicly is there's an ulterior motive behind it. And so I'm not going for it. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to get it popping. I want to get into this Charleston White conversation really quickly. On the Way Up podcast says, keep holding it down, Anton. Those words of encouragement to your wife was dope. You gave me an idea for my show. Take advantage, bro. I'm definitely joining the Patreon. Shout out to the new Patreon members. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Adonis1909 says, for what the 34 counts they are trying to charge Trump, Hillary paid a fine of $8,000 and remaining $101,000 from campaign funds with no other punishment. Cold Stare 86 says, hello, Anton. I'm a contractor. When you stated you were building houses interested me. Will you be needing contractors? If so, can I email you? You can contact me. Email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. Hopefully, I'm assuming that you're in the Metro Detroit area. I got a really unique idea that I have not revealed yet. So that would be absolutely awesome if you can get in contact with me. I have a really unique idea that I have not revealed yet. And so I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be dope. So yeah, contact me and then we'll go from there, my friend. Danzy Land, Di Solo says, classes in session, chasing the bag and getting the game. Shout out to my people. Adonis 1909 says, all counts fall under a felony E. I'm not sure what that is. Anton does not necessarily understand what the felony ABCDs are. Wet Willie, Trump having black problems. AJ Senior says, Trump was not a great president. He was a divider. Oh, no. Data shows that Trump didn't build a great economy. He inherited it from Obama. Google it if you don't believe it. Do y'all want to have this Trump versus Obama conversation on Friday? Nicole V says, Anton, do you buy houses outside of Detroit? Every single property that I have is in the suburbs of Detroit as of now. And so now I'm determining that I want to completely transform what my city look like and having my little imprint on it. And so I'm going from there. So yeah, I'm not looking to buy. Well, I'll break it down. I'll break it down later. AJ Senior, I completely disagree with you. I think that he renegotiated what was going on with NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. He understood and he already seen way ahead of time what was going on with China. And that's why you've seen his tariffs take place, which Joe Biden today still has in place. He has not removed the tariffs. I think that you've seen record. The only thing that upended what Trump was doing was the pandemic. The only thing that upended what Trump was doing was the pandemic. And then they utilized different independent Democratic governors in order to try to freeze out what Trump wanted to do for the economy when the pandemic first hit. It's too much to discuss. So if y'all want to talk about that on Friday, let me know and we'll deep dive into that. Yeah, man, I think that you're wrong. I think that you're absolutely wrong. But we can debate about it. Thank you and respect to you for contributing. Marcelo Wheeler says, with the 20 ball, says, good morning, bro. Good morning, Marcelo. I appreciate you. Thank you for rocking out with me. And thank you for the 20 ball, my friend. I appreciate you holding me down. Adonis 1909 says the 34 charges is a net to catch at least one fish versus fishing rod to catch one at a time. Okay. I got you. Chris Bryant says, I used to not like Trump, but this BS, I can't even think of 32 crimes, let alone felonies. Forsaken Archives says, orange is the new black, free Trump. Hey, what y'all don't realize and what a lot of y'all is not understanding, they say felony E is the lowest tier. O'Neill, you say felony is the lowest tier? Don't y'all realize that the Democratic Party was originally the party of the KKK? Y'all don't know that? The Democratic Party was the original party of white supremacy. Y'all don't even know, do y'all? Y'all don't even know the history of the Democratic Party, do y'all? Y'all have no clue. Y'all are completely oblivious to what the Democratic Party stood for. I'm going to be reading Super Chats in a minute. Y'all ready for that discussion? Are y'all really ready for that discussion? Black people were originally Republicans. Black people were originally Republicans. You had no clue, did you? But you still on this plantation. You want to know the history of how they've transformed black people to then starting how they tied black people to the Democratic Party? Y'all not ready. I'm reading super chats throughout the show. I'm going to come back to them in a minute. Shout out to O'Neal Harris. Shout out to everybody, all my Canadians over there donating. I appreciate you. Let's deep dive into this, right? I thought somebody sent me this, and I thought that this was pretty interesting. Let me pull this up. Funny Marco, as Charleston was continuing his rise, and a good friend of mine, I got him here in Detroit now. As Charleston was continuing his rise, I always have a conversation with him. I talk to him regularly. One of the things that I try not to ever do is have a live stream about Charleston because I talk to Charleston so regularly. Usually I just wait for him to come here. He's here sometimes twice a month, sometimes even 3 times a month. Make sure you guys hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And then more importantly, make sure that you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. There's no point in me doing it because I then let him fully express what he wants to say and how he wants to say it on a platform. So like last night when we were recording, he addressed Abba and Preach. He addressed the whole Fresh and Fit situation, the whole 9 yards. But I already know what the majority of his thoughts are because I talk to him almost every day, every other day sometimes. And even when he had went on Fresh and Fit, I already knew exactly what he felt about it because I had talked to him the minute that he was leaving the studio. He hit me up. He said, "Yo, Twan." Yo, Twan. I said, "What up, though?" Hey, say, "What's up, Twan?" I said, "What up, though, see?" Hey, man. So he hit me up and he gave me his thoughts. Shout out to the Apple AirPod over there. And so we be kicking it just on some G stuff, but all of those conversations is off the record. So rewind back to last year, when he had, last year when he was getting into it with T.I.'s son King, and he had been getting into it with Boosie and all of this other type of stuff, right? Rewind back to that. And Charleston had been doing his rounds, and so he had went on Tony the Closer's platform. He had went on Funny Marco and some much, much bigger platforms. He had went on 85 South. It was a lot of platforms that he was making his rounds on because they was paying him big money for him to show up, right? They was offering him contracts and everything like that. And so when Charleston hit me up and he was like, "Yeah, man, this is what's going on," and he told me about this whole Funny Marco situation, I was like, "Oh, that's too weak. That's too weak." But I didn't say anything because it's not my place to say certain things unless he feels comfortable talking about it publicly. But now, since DJ Akademiks talked about it, I think it's worth us having a conversation about, right? So let me play this video to show you exactly how dirty the game is. How dirty the game is, okay?
The full episode of this podcast can be seen for free. Click. So White gang. T.I. made the call. I heard about it. Don't break character. T.I. made the call.
No, I'm just laughing. You said you heard about it.
I heard about the call. Talk to the people about it. Tell Charleston White. Zoom in.
This live?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little bit of context. So the word on the streets with all of the vloggers, with the 85 Souths, with the big podcasts and all of this other type of stuff is that once everybody started getting into it, once Charleston White started getting into it with T.I. and the Son King and all of that other type of stuff, right? T.I. started making a phone call to all of his friends and saying, "Yo, I need you to don't let Charleston White on your platform. Don't remove the interview that y'all did with him. I don't care, whatever it is." And so he was running around making phone calls, and one of the people that he made a phone call to, in which they had a really good thing that was going as far as he did a great show with Funny Marco, he called Funny Marco and he said, "Yo, cancel this nigga. That's what the word on the street is, allegedly. Is that T.I. was calling and texting everybody that he can get his hands on, saying remove him from your platform and do not allow for Charleston White to be able to say anything on your platform, regardless of how good your friendship is or how good of a time it is. Choose him or me. Does this sound like the words of a gangster? Does this sound like the words of a gangster? Some of the listen. All right, I'm gonna just let it play, and then y'all can make y'all own assessment. Now that I gave y'all the back behind the scenes of what cancel culture really looks like within the black community. All right.
I'm just saying. Which camera we look at?
I don't know, one of them. I don't know.
I say the guy, he knows what he is and what he do.
What is he?
That's what we had to get him on the phone. I said he know who he is. I'm not judging him. That's what I say. If I knew what he was, I would have said that word.
Why'd you?
He did not. You see how they dodge, and all of these guys is just the talent. They get in front of the camera. They got editors. They got producers. They got different people that do different things. But when they get in front of the camera and you get them to be able to communicate, they can't even say 3 words out of their mouth in a coherent sentence to actually answer a direct question. They got the backing. They got the money. They got the machine behind them. They got Breakbeat behind them. They got Barstool Sports behind them. They got Revolt behind them. They got all of these different things. But the one thing that I respect about Akademiks is that Akademiks is his own man, whether you think he corny, whether you think that he whatever, so on and so forth. Ak clearly states what his position is, where he at, how he moves, and he is not afraid to have the uncomfortable conversation.
Take that in the interview.
I didn't take that was what's Breakbeat? I didn't have nothing to do with it.
So you're not the boss?
No, I was not. You're right, I was not the boss. I was part of a project.
If T.I. respectfully called you and told you to remove that interview with Charleston White expeditiously, would you have obliged?
Understanding the culture. Yeah, understanding the culture.
Understanding the culture. Understanding the culture, yes. That's what he said. Understanding the culture. If another grown man called you and asked you to remove an interview because you don't like what that other man is saying, understanding the culture, yes. Let me keep playing it.
That's pussy.
Talk to him, Mac.
T.I. called my phone. I ain't answer. I ain't gonna lie.
So that's pussy.
That is true. But I knew what I was calling for. Hey, stop posting Charleston White.
It's not. It ain't just about the name. It's just about like majority rules at the end of the day.
What the fuck is majority rules? What is majority rules? So if this dude got more power to you, or you want to be buddy and friends with him, or if it's a bunch of people as far as in the mob culture, and this is the same shit that they try to pull with the just pearly things, honestly. And you know what? I don't want to relate this to the just pearly things, but I got to give you the context, right? When y'all come on these platforms and y'all tell me what I should do or what I should remove myself from, whether it be Charleston White or just pearly things, you know what it make me do? It makes me more double down on it, because there ain't nobody, not one person, gonna tell me what to do with my platform. Who are you? Who are you to tell me what I am supposed to do with my platform? Yo, just for the sake of it, you gonna tell me what to do? That pissed me off so much, it make me want to do it even harder. Because you're not gonna mob me. Ain't nobody gonna tell me. What do you mean majority rules? Majority rules? This is what y'all dealing with in the black community. If enough people get on Twitter, or if enough people make phone calls, I told y'all about what? what was that, on Monday? On Friday? I told y'all on Friday that there was some people that was giving me phone calls telling me what I should and shouldn't do with my platform. Man, fuck you. I came in this world by myself. I'm going to be buried in it by myself. How you going to tell another man what they supposed to do with their platform? Because majority rules? Listen to this dude, man.
And when some people, like, you know, the world or the culture feels some type of way, like, damn, we don't fuck with this. Not saying everybody do it. Nobody's wrong. At the end of the day, you got to understand it's still what's right for the people. You know what I'm saying? And you got to protect your name. That's why you're not liked. So I'm just trying to tell you what you got to fix. And like that, you didn't answer the phone. You had a chance to get liked by T.I., but you fucked it up.
This nigga said you had a chance to get liked by T.I. Look at these grown men. Yo, listen. A grown man told another grown man you had a chance to get liked by T.I. and you fucked it up. What? Nigga, drop your balls. Drop your balls, my dog. Stand for something. You had a chance to get liked by T.I. and you fucked it up. These are grown men being told what to do by another grown man to be liked by another grown man. I can't, bro. I can't. I'd rather die on my sword by myself before I let another grown man go out and say, yo, I made a phone call to Anton to make sure that he took that shit down. And Anton did it. Let me tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to tell y'all what's going to happen with everything that's happening, whether it be with this, whether it be with... See, that's why, me and Charleston, we ain't never going to fall out because we too real and we know each other in real life. In real life. See, this is the difference, and this is why y'all keep waiting on it, because it's 98% fakes, and it's only 2% of the real. 98% fakes and 2% of the real. And this is what's going to happen, right? It all seemed cool. It all seemed cool and everybody to jump on the bandwagon. So when you see motherfuckers jumping ship, even with the just pearly things and all of this other type of stuff, it didn't really matter about whether or not she was wrong or right. The thing that it mattered about is whether or not you was a stand-up person that thought on your own, that had your own mind, that was willing to stand on what you felt and not be bullied into doing something because somebody else said it or because the mob said it. I don't give a fuck what position that you on. I just want you to actually be a man and stand on that shit. I can respect you. Listen, Donald Trump, I don't agree with a lot of things that Donald Trump say. But the one thing that I can always rock with, and one of the reasons why I voted for him in the last election, is because Donald Trump was the realest person that was in the election. Every black person hated it when he first came out and when he first got elected. But now all of a sudden, I can't find a black person in the world that would say that they actually voted for Joe Biden and against Trump. You will either get them to say, well, I didn't vote at all, or they don't say shit. This is what I've learned in my lifetime, in my short little 40 years on this earth, about to be 41 years on April 13th. Shout out to all my Aries gangs. This is what I've learned in my lifetime. The thing that seems like it's the most popular thing to do at the time when everything comes out is not necessarily the most popular thing to do when it comes to the long-term repercussions that go along with it. You're going to make a temporary decision to sell yourself out for what you stand for as a man in order to give over into the mob so that everybody can like you. And guess what? They still not going to fuck with you. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be on the wrong side of history. I promise you. You're going to be on the wrong side of history. It's not about what happens over this next week or the next 2 weeks or the next 3 weeks. It's about how it plays out over the next 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. When everybody comes back and they look back on this and they see how things played out, It's going to be a clear difference between the people that was on this side and that side and why. It ain't about which side you was on. It's the why behind why you went about doing it. I don't move based off of what another fucking grown man is going to tell me to do. I'm going to make my own decision, regardless if I'm right or I'm wrong. It's my decision. I'm a man. How can y'all call yourself a man? How can grown men call themselves a man? Y'all motherfuckers got families. Y'all got women that stand behind y'all. Y'all got a wife that's depending on you, a children that's depending on you for direction, and you ain't even got your own mind. You can't even stand on your own. How you expect for a woman to believe in you and the only thing that you do is you continue to simp out and move based off of what the mob is saying? Man, fuck the mob. You are your own man. If you believe in this, then believe in it because you believed in it, not because somebody else told you what to do. Not because somebody else told you what to do. Man, I had multiple different people calling me. Some y'all know, some that's bigger than people that y'all don't even know what they know. I didn't even know that they can get my phone number. Apparently, anybody can get my phone number out here. And people was calling me and saying, Anton, listen, if you want to be liked by us, then you're gonna get on board and get on code. And I was like, man, fuck your code. Fuck your code. Give a fuck about, man, who you talking to? Man, you made the wrong phone call today, big dog. Listen, you ain't never got to call my phone. I don't care about being liked. I don't care about being in the in crowd. I don't care about your opportunities. I don't even respect you as a man that's going to approach me telling me what I should do. I don't respect you as a man by coming to me and telling me what you think I should do and telling me what, man, can't no grown man tell me if you want to be liked by me, then you going to move over my way. Man, fuck you. You ain't, man. I don't care what you say. You can't sell me. You can't buy me. You can't hit me with a like on YouTube. I don't give a fuck of whether or not you follow me on Instagram, my nigga. I came in this world myself. I'ma leave just like that. All I need is my group, my crew, my wife, my daughter, my bag chasers, Q, Rita, Azriel, Natasha, Big Podcast, Cliff, Burgundy, Kojak, Jordan, Miss Bliss, Jay Woodfin, Jeremy Hampton, Crown, I don't need the rest of these niggas. All I need is my crew. All I need is Mr. Youngblood City, Brock. I don't need these niggas. Accountability partner, my dog Vern, Jordan Landry, Sabrina, Nick Virgil over there in Canada. Shout out to my Canadians holding me down. Man, I don't need them. Bella. I don't need these niggas. All I need is my people. You ain't never gonna get me. Ever, 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 ever. The Big Podcast. Shout out to my people. Mel Duke is in the building. Spaces. I actually met Spaces down in Detroit when I had the Patreon meetup in Detroit. Man, you ain't never gonna get me to ever move over to the sound of another man's drum because I want to be liked by him. Fuck you. Man, listen to what this dude just said. Listen to what he said. That's the wildest thing that I've ever heard in my life from a grown man.
Some type of way, like, damn, we don't fuck with this. Not saying everybody do it. Nobody's wrong. At the end of the day, you got to understand it's still what's right for the people. You know what I'm saying? And you got to protect your name. That's why you're not liked. So I'm just trying to tell you what you got to fix. And like that, you didn't answer the phone. You had a chance to get liked by T.I., but you fucked it up.
That's wild. That's a wild statement. You had a chance to get liked by T.I., but you fucked it up. Who is this nigga? Obama? Who is he, Obama? This nigga got connections like Trump? Tell me you got presidential connections or something, bro. Tell me you can put me in touch with the president of China and the Communist Party or something. He said T.I. like we was supposed to be impressed. You had a chance to get liked by T.I. and you fucked it up. Where y'all niggas from? Clearly you not from Detroit. Clearly you not from Chicago. Clearly you not from Lil Haiti. You ain't from Overtown. You ain't from Houston. Y'all can't be from somebody. You ain't from the Bronx. You ain't from Harlem. You ain't from Brooklyn. You ain't from Gary, Indiana. You ain't from Cleveland, Ohio. You ain't from Flint, Michigan. You ain't from South Central, Watts, Compton. You ain't from Raleigh, North Carolina. They must be from Portland or something. Where they from? Portland? Seattle? Where they from? Where they from? Calabasas? Who do that? They from ATL? That explains it. That gotta be it. That gotta be it. They gotta be from the ATL.
I'd rather stand with my beliefs than ride with them. But you know what? When you ride with the crowd, they'll turn on you too.
They will.
So for me, it's like I'd rather they say, you know what? We're not going to like him because we can't press the button to control him. But fuck
So no matter what you're saying, you can take an L either way. If you stand with yourself or you stand with them.
Yeah.
So you rather take the L by yourself?
I do.
Right.
That's why I got to respect Act. Listen, you can say what you say about Act, but that's why I got to respect Act. That's why I got to respect Act. Straight up. I got to respect Act because, listen, I'd rather stand on my own and die like a man than sit here and cower over for likes from T.I. and whoever else that's a part of the agenda and the organization. I'd rather stand on my own than sit here and tell another grown man to his face that that's why you wasn't liked by T.I. Lord, help our men not to be so feminine. Help our men not to be so feminine.
That's understandable too. And I agree with that too. The ones you cry with usually laugh at you at the end.
You're going to agree with everything. You're going to agree with everything. See, this is why I keep telling y'all, just because these people got a huge platform or just because they got a voice don't necessarily mean that these are the people that you're supposed to be following. It doesn't mean that these are the people that you're supposed to be following. Real talk. Right or wrong, I don't respect you as a man. Y'all the type of dudes that you go to your house and you knock on the door and you say, hey, can I speak to, whoever it is that's going, hey, man, listen, bro. Hey, your dog is loose out here. Oh, okay, let me go talk to my wife about it. Nigga, what you say to me? Let you go talk to your wife about it. Hey, yo, you coming out to hang with the fellas today? Hey, I got to see if my wife gonna let me come out for the night. Nigga, you shouldn't even have said that out loud. We not even interested in you coming to hang with us no more. Because now you might be secretly recording our conversations and showing it to your wife. And then your wife gonna sit here and tell all of the other wives of what it was that we was talking about. We can't even have you as a part of the group. You can't come to the hangout with the rest of the fellas now. You are no longer invited. I told Rita yesterday, I swear to God on everything. I promise on everything. I told Rita yesterday, I said, listen, this person right here, cut them off. She said, oh, I like them. I like that couple. I said, cut them off. She said, okay, they done. I said, you don't even want to know why? She said, no, I don't want to know why. If you don't rock with them, I don't rock with them because I don't trust them. She ain't even question it. I said, cut them off. Cut them off. I don't even want to be associated with this group of people because that is not the type of people that we need to be having in our life. This is a come to Jesus moment. I like to call it the culling. This is the culling moment. This is an opportunity for us to go back to the drawing board and then figure out. I usually give this as a piece of homework to my people, y'all. And I say, listen, I want you to go through your contacts and call 3 people a day, 5 minutes per person, spend no longer than 15 minutes on the phone. Tap in with them, see them, kick it with them, and you need to figure out whether or not you still want them in your contacts or you don't, because I'm going to teach you how to manage your network more effectively, but the first thing we need to do is get the people out of there that ain't even supposed to be a part of it. 5 minutes per person, 3 people a day. You can call them on your way to work. But this is an opportunity for people to start removing the people out of their life that they don't need in there so that they can spend more time dedicated to the people that's actually helping them go in the direction that they're going in. Kojak said it's spring cleaning time. It's time to clean up your backyard, man. It's time to get all of the snakes. They've been under the porch. They slithering in the grass. They all around you. I don't even want to be associated with certain type of people. I don't even want to be associated with certain type of people. Yo, anybody that's putting a grape inside of the chat, time them out. Don't ban them, just time them out. Go back, hey mods, go back, look at anybody that's put a grape inside of the chat and time it out. Just time them out. This is crazy.
Is there any other interview you ever did that either you regretted or you took down?
Nah, because it's moments. Like this is a moment. Like somebody gonna die between us first.
What?
And I'm like, damn, this is a moment that I got to sit.
This nigga talking about? What?
I'm saying we gotta die.
Fuck this nigga talking about?
Me or you gotta go first. We're not going together because we ain't friends.
What?
What are you talking about right now, brother?
So what I'm saying
What is this nigga talking about?
is it's a moment that we got right now. Right now, this is a moment that we can look be like, damn, I got to sit down with bro. I'll probably post this like RP. I had a good time with him.
Your man's gonna post on your page RP to you because you.
No, you. I'm saying you. If something happened to you, I'm gonna post this clip and be like, damn, I had a good time with that dude.
Oh, that's fake.
It is fake. That is so fake. That reminds me of when somebody passed away and then everybody go in their archives and they say, rest in peace to this person. We was good friends. I can't with Funny Marco, bro.
Good time.
I would, if something happened to you, I wouldn't post it.
Never meet your heroes. Never meet your heroes. Never meet your heroes. They only there in order to get a photo op with you so that when you pass away, they can post it and say, yeah, I knew this person. Sound weird. That sound weird. That sound weird. Let me read these super chats. This is wild. I ain't never seen no junk like this. JDM Wizard says, Obama dropped a drone strike on a 16-year-old American citizen in the country we were not at war with. Why is he not in jail? I don't know nothing about that. I'm going to stay out of that, whatever. Nicholas Virgil, shout out to my Canadians. He hit me with the 55 with the Canadians on. He says, good afternoon, Anton. Can you recommend some books to read similar to Diplomacy? I'm going to be honest with you, Nicholas Virgil. I don't know if you've read Diplomacy yet, but that is like a 700-page book. I don't know if you got to get through. You know what? Honestly, there's 2 books for people that is accelerated past Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Win Friends and Influence People, David Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me, The Alchemist. I think that is one book that you need to read. First of all, you got to read Winning by Tim Grover. Second book you got to read, I know I mentioned it, but David Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me. Every man needs to read that book. Every man also needs to read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Now, 12 Rules for Life is written in a way in which Jordan Peterson talks, so it's going to take a little bit more effort, whereas Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Alchemist, all of those were quick reads, right? I think that Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life should be required reading for every man. Winning by Tim Grover, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, David Goggins' You Can't Hurt Me, and then you can start to move over into Diplomacy by Henry Kissinger. So that's what I would recommend. Everybody needs to read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Even if you never even get past the first chapter where he's talking about the crabs, where he's talking about the king crabs and how men are similar to crabs, you gotta read that. You gotta read that. So read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life if you haven't already. It's an incredible book, and thank you for holding me down. Average Joe Investor Show says, I've had your speech from yesterday on repeat for hours. I needed that. Can't wait for our call. Appreciate it. God bless and keep you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Average Joe Investor. I appreciate you. And it was a fire speech. I don't be knowing what I'm gonna say before I say it. Big Azalanio says, pay attention. That's why they didn't handcuff him and take his photo. He talking about Trump. Forsaken Archive says, I'm conservative, and yes, I want to have that combo Friday. I don't think y'all ready for that conversation. Spiritual Politics with the 20 ball. Shout out to Spiritual Politics with the 20 ball. Says, and Grant created the Department of Justice, and their first assignment was to neutralize the KKK, known as the Klan Act or Enforcement Acts. Bro, please produce our channel, Spiritual Politics. Rita, if you listening to this, write down Spiritual Politics. I want to go over and check out their channel and see what y'all got popping off. Should be interesting. I'm going to come over and check out y'all channel for real. Self-Made Forever says, Anton, you always say a man don't even start to understand his potential until he reaches 30s. Can you consider a whole Patreon on a man understanding his potential? Yeah, I can do that. I can write that down. Rita, write that down. Absolutely. Thank you for the 10 ball. King Jaffe Joe, stand on that business, Anton. Some ain't ready. They gonna see the real and the fake start to wash out. I promise you. Fred, Sir Samson Mayo says he had a chance to be liked by you. Man, if that wasn't the weakest thing that I've ever heard in my life, I ain't never heard no grown man say that in real life. Patty Jackson says, people don't know, Lyndon B. Johnson said, I'm going to make the African-American community vote Democrat for the next 100 years and even longer. And they did the same thing with the alphabet community. You are 100% right. Wet Willie says, the blind leading the blind. Spiritual Politics is in the building again, says majority rules equal hip-hop, blackity black, left democratic thinking. ASAP Rocky didn't even thank Trump for getting him out. Ain't that wild? Hey, Trump freed more black rappers than any other president before him. He freed Kodak Black. He freed Kwame Kilpatrick, which wasn't even a rapper. He got Lil Wayne out of jail. He got ASAP Rocky back here on American soil. And y'all was begging for Biden to go and get Brittany Griner. Neither here nor there. Bang the Game says, dude, softer than 1,000-count cotton bed sheets. Agreed. Jake Fever says, I see no difference between Marco and all pro athletes. Brock says, pass a love offering. YouTube won't let me super chat what I really want to say, but let's just say that response he gave was super moist. I know what you're trying to say. Bang the Game says, Russia and China wouldn't be doing what they've been doing if if Trump was still in office. I kind of agree with that. I mean, we don't know. But I do agree with that. I don't believe that they will be doing it either. He said, I got you, dog, for real. Shout out to Brock with another 2-ball. David Mosby says, but Anton, don't you want T.I. to like you? That's wild. Yo, I'm gonna have to clip that up as a drop, as a soundbite. I gotta clip that up as a soundbite. Fred Sampson Mayo says, dude is a troll. All of his interviews are wild. Questions like that is his shtick. But no, this was a moment that he actually was answering honestly. And so you can't continue to lean into the character in order to justify what was just being communicated. No, that was a real moment. That was a real moment that he was having. Don't go for it, Fred. That was a real moment. That was a real interview. Aaron says, that's got to be the most bitch-made statement I've ever heard come out of a grown man's mouth. Be like by T.I. That's wild. And you know how I know it's true? Because I can also corroborate it with the conversations that I was having with C on the back end. Way back when. He actually removed the interview. It's a reason why he removed the interview. Don't be fooled. I'm telling you, it's a real thing. Cancel culture within the black community is a real thing. They try to cancel people more than... Never mind. Adonis 1909 says, you can understand all aspects and scenarios, but you don't have to agree with everything. A square has 4 sides that never changes. Stand on yours. Shout out to Adonis holding me down all day. Self-Made Forever says, and these the same young dudes creating the single mom epidemic, co-parent economy. All these young dudes look and talk the same nowadays. And they all got that frizzy hair on the top. That's wild to me. Listen, man, it's been an incredible show. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I think that y'all are the greatest audience on earth. Thank you for all of the likes and the dislikes. Yo, we going down in dislikes. We got only 17 dislikes today. I must ain't trigger y'all. Hey, you know what it's like when I hear a grown man say I'm triggered. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning into the Millionaire Morning Show. I need you to do me one more thing before we get up out of here. Thank you for rocking out with me. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be rich by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. You guys are absolutely awesome. I'm going to holler at y'all in a little bit. Peace.